Hello, good evening, and welcome to the Human Quotient. It is a podcast by Antwalk. I'm Sudhanshu. I'm the co-founder of Antwalk and the host of the Human Quotient. And it is our constant endeavor to bring industry voices to talk about key industry challenges. Uh, we are discussing something very, very important today. We are talking about the catalyst that is already there with organizations, but how to unlock those catalysts to drive growth is exactly what we'll talk about. And those the catalysts that we are talking about today are the mid managers. Now mid managers are often slightly misunderstood. No, uh, given the context that are changing, you might see a lot of conversations around mid managers being let go and all of that. However, what I have seen in my professional experience, and we'll talk about with our esteemed expert today, is that mid managers are the glue of the organization. Now, they help connect the vision of the leadership and bring the execution capability of their teams together. They don't just manage tasks, they have to shape the culture. They have to drive performance. They are a very essential conduit for the communication, the top-down communication that comes from leadership. The mid managers hold a lot of that fort around driving it, right? Yet sometimes there is some thought in the industry where they feel that senior leadership or the frontline put in a lot of effort. But that is what we are here to change. We are here to change that narrative. And to change that narrative, we have somebody who has put his professional experience into creating that narrative. I have the pleasure of having Abhik Sinha. He's a senior VP and head of business HR with Equitas Small Finance Bank, where he works on talent management. And prior to this, he has years of experience: HDFC Bank, Tata Motor Finance. So, Abhik, it's a pleasure to have you on this episode of the Human Quotient.
Thank you so much, Sudhanshu. Thanks for the opportunity. Looking forward, the topic we have today is very close to my heart, having handling HR, business partnering, and talent management for more than
Hmm.
15 years. This is something which is very important. I have seen, uh, how this mid-management have been catalyst in the organizational growth. So happy to talk about it.
Absolutely. And why it is important is because today's world is rapidly changing, right? Uh, Organizations need to be agile, they need to be innovative, they need to be adaptive, right? I know a lot of organizations which are huge multinational, billion dollar, multi-billion dollar companies. They want to bring agility, they want to have a startup or entrepreneurial culture. They want to build a workforce which is fast, a workforce which is resilient, and all of that comes from multiple skill sets, right? And a lot of that is where mid managers come in, wherein they can hold the fort on getting driving change management, driving performance, making sure that the teams both ways communication are taken care of. So in the next couple of hours we'll discuss how to unleash the power of med managers, and it will talk about a combination of leadership development and how can we create a culture of ownership, culture of continuous learning. So, Avik, I would want you to share your experience, your thought of. You said that you have this is a topic which is very close to your heart. You have spent years putting effort into building this, building the power of mid managers. So I would like you to enlighten us of what your thoughts are on this topic.
Right. Thanks, Sudhanshu. Good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for taking out time on a Friday evening for this. I'm sure everybody who's joined the uh, show are equally passionate about talent management and handling teams. So, without much ado, I put together my thoughts in a few slides. So I'll move into this. So I'll start with uh, talking about Who are mid managers? Why are mid managers important? I mean, Sudhanshu has already given a pretext. I mean, they are the catalysts, they are the growth catalysts, they are the change agents. And talking about the industry where I've served for 19 years, a little about BFSI. So I'll start the conversation with that. So in any organization, there are three layers, managerial layers. We have senior management, we have mid management, and junior management. The strategy is done by senior management. Execution on the field is done by junior management. Now, a very, very important layer is mid management, people who understand the strategy, convert that into executable form, and drive the team for delivering the results. So that is why they are important. If we talk about used
Can
to be.
somebody come? Yes, yes, Abhishek. Abhik, we lost you for a tiny minute. So can you? Yes, please. Please go on.
Oh, I'm sorry. I mean, must be something with the network. No, so I was talking about the role of, I mean, BFSI industry, and we are going through a phase where am I audible, Sudhanshu? I think.
Yeah, there is this lag. No, you for the last 30 seconds possibly I missed. So can we restart from the beginning of this? The role of mid managers. Why are they important? We have covered.
Yes.
Can we start from mid
Okay.
managers at BFSI?
Oh, I'm
Yes.
sorry for this technology, this thing. I mean, we keep joking that technology and HR generally most of the times don't go hand in hand. While I handle HR transformation or HR technology piece as well. So hopefully technology will support because of my other role. Okay, so
Yes.
about banking, lot of things are changing now. So we are moving towards faceless bank, right? And that is where the I mean junior management we talk about in a bank, uh, the roles are changing, right? I
Yeah.
mean, at times there are discussion that do we need them? If we talk about credit, risk models are coming. I mean, LLMs and all, wherein the credit underwriting is getting replaced. For operational efficiency, we are using AI to make sure things are automated. Sales in this fintech era, I mean, more than people, you speak to the bots nowadays, right? So with all these changes happening, it is very important that we have a very stable mid
Hmm.
management layer who can give this comfort to the junior team and make sure they are aligned to the strategy. Uh, Technology or AI cannot ever replace human beings, only their role changes. And that is where mid managers play a major role uh, in BFSI sector. What happens? I mean, before talking about this transformation journey, let's see what happens if mid managers are not aligned. There would be strategic misalignment. You might have beautiful strategy, but if it is not created into executive form, I mean, everywhere, uh, you'll not get the results because uh, people will not know what to do. That will lead to employee disengagement. That will lead to high turnover. I mean, a lot of it we are seeing currently in this industry, and sooner than later, there will be manager burnout. I mean, people will start giving up. So that is why it is very important that this transformation journey of mid managers is handled well. So a
Hmm.
little about mid manager transformation and what we should do. What is the recipe for success? I mean, how should we handle it? The first thing is check willingness. Again, a little anecdote. uh, uh, Part of my journey, I was handling, I mean, in one of my assignments, there used to be a very, very successful relationship manager. He
Hmm.
was one of the top performer, achieving 180 200% of his target month on month, year on year, 5 6 years. And I was doing his career discussion. So, I mean, again, part of HR target also, handling his career was one of my targets. And I was
Mhm.
constantly asking him, why don't you take up a higher role? Because you're ready. You have been there, done that. You have done very well in this role. You should move to branch manager. But he used to say, no, he's fine with his IC role. He didn't want to move into a branch manager role. But then there was a lot of pressure and all, even management, everybody, all of us kind of convinced him that the way
Yeah.
to go is becoming a branch manager, and he reluctantly took the role. 6 months down the line, disaster was inevitable and it happened. His team was not happy with him. He was not happy with his team. The branch performance went all over the place. We tried counseling him. We did what we could do to handle and all. But I think he was a performer. He was not ready to see non performance. Within a year's time, we lost him. What happened was that we lost a good RM, we got a lousy branch manager, and it was lose lose all over. So,
Yeah.
first thing is there are a lot of people who are happy not handling a team. We should not force them to do that, right? It is their calling whether they want to take. So the first thing is check willingness. Then we should invest in training. It is important. Those first time manager training, people should know. I mean, you can do very well as an individual contributor, but you may not have the knack. You may not understand how to handle a team. So training and handling in initial days is very, very important. Once that is done, next, once in their role, we need to empower them. We give them the freedom to fail, learn, and bounce back. That is how they become better managers. That is how they become better professional. They should
Mhm.
have a free hand to drive innovation, right? They need to be handled to understand the tactic. They are the tactical layer, converting strategies into executable plans. They were your bright guys. They were doing very good, but they were executing. That we need to
Mhm.
understand. So they need to be given the proper training, guidance, mentoring to make sure they can convert those strategies now into executable plans. They need to be told that solution orientation is important. When they are on the field, they will cry about a lot of things not happening. They cannot do the same thing once they become a manager. They need to be part of the solution and not the problem, right? So this change they need to do. We need to help them to switch over to the new role.
Yeah.
Another thing I have seen, and this keeps happening now also, uh, when these top performers starts taking up a leadership role, they expect everybody to perform like them. They expect everybody to have their kind of passion. That does not
Mhm.
happen, right? If everybody was as good, everybody would have been in their position. So embracing diverse team member, everybody will not have similar capability. It is important that they understand this and accept and work on the strength, build on the strength of each team member and work on their areas of development, right? Peer networks, they should have good peer network, people who are equally bright, learn from their failures and successes. There should be continuous learning and all. Timely and continued recognition is very good because these were your good guys. We should not have a feeling now they have become manager, we need not recognize them, now they need to recognize. It is important that they are given their due recognition, right? A
Mhm.
pat on the back helps, and we need to invest in guiding and mentoring, right? So these are things I think from the transformation journey basis, these are the things if we can follow, we will have a solid mid managerial team who will deliver as per our requirement. Now
Absolutely.
finally, I mean, on my this thing, few key success factors over the years, few key success factors I have seen the difference between a average performer and a great performer. So these are few things I thought I'll talk about it. One, the first and foremost thing is they should know how to lead from front and how to lead from behind as well. What
Mhm.
do I mean by that? If there is a crisis, they should be the first one taking the bullet for the team, going in the front, leading the way. If things happen good, they should know how to step back, let the team take the credit of the success. That is how they own and build a team. Next is they need to communicate because again they are leading the execution layer, right? So they can communicate, they need to over communicate at times, daily huddles, I mean, weekly, monthly huddles, reviews, and all, but they should not micromanage. Again, what would have
Mhm.
helped them in becoming a good, I mean, team member would have been the freedom they have got. They need to do the same thing to their team. This magic of leadership, there's something I follow, and I mean, very close to my heart. You trust your team, you give them accountability, they will do whatever you want from them. They need to remember this formula, they would be successful. Create a
Mhm.
collaborative environment with fair competition. Competition is required because meritocracy is very very important. Because if you treat a person who's not doing so well and your top performer together, while this person would be happy who's not who's not able to deliver, but somebody who's your top performer, that will uh, kind of demotivate them. So it is important that there is fair competition, but there is collaboration within the team also. Master the science of integrative thinking. You never know from who that bright idea will come, which will transform your team. So you should know how to take the idea from the team member, everybody thinking together and all. You should not flex. You should, I mean, you should not force. You should tell, I mean, people should know you are the man in charge, but sell your ideas. That is how it works. uh, Influence, it should not be your title as a manager uh, by which you are getting your work done. You need to influence and get your work done. The good managers, the good leaders are ones who can influence people without authority. If we can master that, nothing like it. Last but not the least, there is no substitute for hard work. Keep working hard, results will follow. So I think this is about my this thing. Now I hand over to Sudhanshu for the discussion.
No, very no, well articulated and valid points, Abhik, and we'll uh, in the course of the next 40 minutes, we will touch back on some of those points, share our experiences. One experience that comes to my mind, this is a story that my general manager, when I was at ICICI Bank, he told this. So he was saying that a couple of general managers at ICICI Bank, they were sitting and having lunch, and they were craving about how their teams are, right? So they were saying that, when we were management trainees, we would make such brilliant credit notes that our bosses would trust us to present it to the committee, drive it all by ourselves. Now we have become general managers, and people under us are doing such shitty job. We still have to review those credit notes, we still have to do the work that we used to do 20 years back. So there was an SGM who used to be their mentor back in the days. He came, joined their table, and said, "Do you guys realize that you had better bosses?"
Very true.
So, right. So sometimes we don't realize, right, uh, whether, as you were saying, whether you're part of the problem or you're part of the solution, right? We feel, and that is where, to understand that difference as well, where am I lacking organizationally as HR and OD professionals. We also need to understand, how do we take people through that path of discovering themselves in the leadership journey. So let me look, the first question that I want to ask you is that, you know mid managers is often understood. Somebody was recently, I was reading, there was somebody who was talking about there are 40 under 40, there is also 40 over 40, and that is for a different conversation somewhere. uh, but organizations can actually create a lot of leverage by investing in mid managers and their capabilities. If leadership tries to do everything by themselves, they are limiting themselves, their organization, in the growth that they can bring. The true, I think Steve Jobs or somebody said, no, you need to invest in people, get smart people, invest in their capabilities, but you cannot do their task. They have to be capable enough to do their own task as well. So my question to you is, having worked in this field, organizations investing in mid managers, that could possibly be a game changer. And I'll tell you the reason also is, I was talking to one of our experts. He's an ex-army person. He was like, when you go to a war, uh, you prepare years for a war sometimes, right? So we are thankfully living in a very peaceful time wherein we don't fight so many wars. An army person might just go multiple training but never ever fight a war also. That could also possibly be the case. However, in corporate setups, no, we fight wars every day. But are we equally equipped? That is the question that I want to throw at you, Abhik.
Right. No, so Sudhanshu, I think, as you rightly said, investment is in mid management is one of the most important thing because they are your leadership pipeline. Also, you need
Yeah.
to invest, and you expect, as I was talking about, you expect a great individual contributor. To become a great, mid manager, there is an art and science. They need to learn that, right? You have to do coaching, you need to do mentoring, they need to understand how to do it, what are the things they need to do. So that investment of time, resources, energy by the senior management is very important, and that is at times, it is very easy to say it does not happen. Lot of times people in senior management, since they have been great mid managers, they go to that role and start working, doing their thing. So what they are doing while they are good, that is why they have moved up. What they
Hmm.
don't understand and realize is that they are not doing justice to their role, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they may do it better than your mid managers. So we need to have that patience. We need to invest time, energy. We need to train them properly, and they will deliver the result. Because when we were mid managers, somebody has done that for us. That is why we could grow and move up. So it is very important that organizations acknowledge this and they invest in the mid managers. And I think, at least in BFSI sector, I think that most of the banks, large NBFCs, we are
Hmm.
doing a lot of things to make sure we understand the importance of mid managers, and there is a lot of investment happening in terms of training, guiding, and coaching them.
Okay. The other challenge that a lot of HR managers have shared with us is around the rising attrition, especially in the frontline roles and the first time managers and others also. At the bottom of the workforce pyramid, there is a lot of transition, there is a lot of attrition. Uh, I know some financial companies where the attrition in entry level roles is as high as 40%, right? uh, so one of the HRs was talking to us and he told us that, Sudhanshu, 30% of the people are leaving at any times. So my HR team is busy addressing those 30% who are leaving, also hiring for those 30%. So I don't know what to do for the rest of the 70% because we are so busy managing that. But that problem aside, talking about attrition, if you're, and it's not something that can be solved in a day, it can be solved through multiple factors. One of them is culture. That also we'll talk about. But if your frontline sales or frontline workforce is transitionary, there is a high attrition, doesn't that make the mid manager's role all the more crucial, both in terms of holding the fort on execution, holding the fort on communication, knowledge management, making sure that relationships and other things are continued without any impact?
Right. So, couple of things. So, on a lighter note, you said some banks have attrition at 40% at the, frontline FOS level. I think most of the banks and NBFCs, if they are giving
Yeah,
the right numbers, we are grappling with this post COVID. Numbers are
yeah.
those numbers. So their mid managers play a major role. Again, a very cliched sentence that people leave the manager and not the organization. That is very true, and it is as true as it was 20 years back. So that is where mid
Mhm.
managers play major role. If you have
Mhm.
good mid manager level, one, they will hold back people, and even if people are leaving for money or whatever, there's a lot of competition, a lot of options, they would be able to build a new sustainable team. I mean, in my bank also, we have lost a lot of people in frontline in last 2 3 years. But since I have a very strong mid manager, uh, layer, we have not faced, while we are also grappling, we are at our wits end to find out ways to stop it. But since my this layer is very good, I've got some
Mhm.
amazing guys, and we believe in growing leaders from within, right? So these guys are passionate, motivated, they want to hold the team. uh, they want to deliver every time. At times, they are too tough on their team for delivering results, and possibly because of that people leave. But since
Mhm.
they have been stable, we have been able to, our performance has been good. They have been holding the fort, and mid managers play a major role. If you do not have
Mhm.
a good manager, the team will get frustrated and they will leave. If you have a good manager, even if things are challenging, even if market conditions are challenging, they will stick on to the manager. That is why you need to
Absolutely.
take care of mid manager, and they will take care of the team. So lot of our initiatives are aimed at mid managers so that they are stable, they are motivated, so that they take care of the team. So that is what we do currently in my current organization.
Absolutely. No, one thing that I remember a video by Simon Sinek, I guess, where he says that the role of a manager is not to get things done. The role of a manager is to take care of people who get the things done. So there is this mindset shift also that is required. We will take that question, but you did speak about people being promoted because of their performance. You also shared an anecdote around it, which did not end well. We all know the sorrow when Sachin's story, wherein Sachin became a captain because he was a brilliant batsman, but he did not fare as well as a captain. However, Saurav had a very different journey. Of course, he brought different skill sets as well. And one part you also spoke about, if you are a high performer, you go with the mindset that everybody is as high performing as me, as passionate as me. The capability to take multiple diverse teams along possibly is not there. However, you know say you both have the willingness, right? And you get promoted into a newer role where you are required to manage people. There, you might have been doing great as an IC, but as you succeed in higher roles, you need other aspects. You need other aspects like people leadership, problem solving, the cultural mindset. And these are things possibly we are not very, there are no college courses possibly around this, which this is not something that we grew up with. So how does that, how, say in your experience, how do you put focus on capability building for mid managers? Where are your, as a BFSI company yourself, where are your focus areas in terms of capability building?
Right. So, Sanjay, I was speaking about it during my presentation
Yes.
also. Leadership is both the art as well as science, right?
Yes.
Art is something which comes, you need to observe people, you need to observe good. That is where we have mentors, guides who help people. They look at, we do something called as shadowing, so that
Hmm.
a person who's to be groomed to a managerial level, he shadows a performing manager, understand what they are doing, how they are handling. The other part is the science. Things to do. It is the transition from managing self to managing others. That is where your first time manager trainings are very important, wherein
Yeah.
you tell them these are the points, these are the things. From tomorrow, your life in the professional world is going to be different. So these are the things you need to be doing. At times,
Yeah.
it is little prescriptive. They may then move up and define their own story, own journey. But it is important that that training happens. That is why first time manager training is very important. It is one of the most critical training after induction. Induction helps in that culture assimilation. First time manager helps because that is their transition training for them to handle a team, right? And that should tell what would be the reaction. The trainer should be able to tell them that once, if you are going to manage the same team you are part of, everybody is not going to be happy. So you
Yeah.
need to take that with pinch of salt. Understand probably that there would be heartburn because many other people also would have been eyeing that position, and you need
Yeah.
to handle that with maturity. So it is both coaching, that guidance from a successful manager, and your FTM. Both this put together, I think it's a pack. And I think 20-30% you learn on the job, because challenges would be very different. A area manager of Kumbakonam will have very different challenges from a area manager of Chandigarh. So that
Yeah,
they learn while on the job.
absolutely. You know, one thing that I've realized is, we were discussing about our engineering days while we were on call, right? Uh, Not all of us put a lot of focus on education while now we are growing up somewhere. No, you as you grow up, the focus on education shifts. When you're in college and other things. So but what I've realized in my experience over time is, as you get into your 30s, if when you start managing people and you become slightly serious about your job as well, you have responsibilities on your shoulders, you start realizing that you might not have all the capabilities. And that is where I've seen a lot of people get back to education in different ways. They open up to education in a different way, and that education possibly is could be in terms of how does it help me in my job today. It could also be into how does this education help me in my career tomorrow. What is so I've seen a lot of mid managers, especially as they settle into their career, they start looking at adding more diverse knowledge and skills, right? What are your suggestions to people who doing some sort of say return to self driven education? I wouldn't say return to education, but I would say a lot of people who want to self get this induction into learning for continuous lifelong learning, cultivation of habit that they want to do.
Right. So, Sudhanshu, it's a very competitive world, and something I keep telling my team: if you need to be relevant, if you need to grow as a professional, you need to invest in yourself. Right? Old our times, the engineering times we were talking about when we passed out, and all people used to say you need to read 20 pages every day, right? So that you know what is happening and all. And reading is a habit. Now, world has changed. To be relevant, right? I was talking about how banking is changing, the way we
Mm.
do business is changing. Now there are too many. I mean, you go to LinkedIn, there are lot many courses and all in the open this thing. You need to invest that time, and at times, if money, I mean, some professional courses to add your this thing. I mean. Leadership is good, but I mean probably analytical skills. So there's many courses you need to go upgrade yourself, because now you're not driving numbers, now you're analyzing and telling your team how to drive the numbers, where are things going right, where are things not. So equip yourself. It is very very important for today's professional to keep investing in themselves, going through various courses relevant to their job. And at times, as you are, I mean, looking at where I want to be, I mean, one is your current ambition to move to the to stay afloat and do good. Second is where I want to be. At times, I mean, there are people who want to change their career path, move to a different level. So you need to invest, make sure you are updated, you are getting yourself equipped to get trained and deliver where you want to move. I mean, that success path will come if you invest in yourself. So that is very important. And I see a lot of people doing it. I'll talk about my current organization. We have something called as professional development plan. We want everybody in our bank to invest on themselves, and bank pays for it. So as every grade has their limit, you go train yourself, we'll pay for it, because we want you to grow, right? So and I'm sure, I mean, a lot of other organizations are also doing it, and it is substantial. All the certification courses, that helps. Every course
Yeah,
you do, it adds to you.
absolutely. It's heartening to see organizations invest in people's growth and giving them the liberty to learn as they grow. And what I've also observed is that while some could be self driven, I want to do better in my job, I want to become a manager, I want to move into this role. It could be monetary as well, that I want to earn more. Your decisions to upskill yourself could be due to multiple such reasons. One of that, one of those reasons, and a big one, is how the industry is changing around us, right? What we have observed is that skills are so fast changing, right? You spoke about it, right? Say for example, when we were in the bank, credit analysis mostly was done through credit analysts. Now you have systems which are equipped with AI and ML, and you have different fintechs helping you, wherein the entire credit analysis history, government has set up an entire platform, ONDC, just to do that, so that that entire process can be done in minutes and you have a report on your hand, something that would possibly take 2 days. So industry also forces you to learn and continuously evolve yourself, right? uh, and of course that is one part of it, skills getting evolved. And as we spoke also about uh, different types of skills, right? When you are in an entry level job, you focus more on technical skills, more functional skills. But as you grow up in your professional career, you need to possibly start focusing on strategic thinking, problem solving, other interpersonal skills, behavioral skills, power skills, as we call them. So, it is that, but I would say it is both how professionals look at themselves, and also how the times are changing around us, wherein this continuous investment in mid managers as organizations and as mid managers as professionals, both are equally important. So when we talk about this, what skills, Antwork is a skill building platform. So I would like to understand from you, uh, what skills or capabilities do you think which are core to mid managers? There are people who are into management roles, but they're not into leadership, but possibly are aspiring to get into leadership roles. You at the same time have to manage your team, which is downstream to your bosses, upstreams. There could be multiple layers both ways. So, how do you see this? The skill set, the capabilities required to efficiently execute and perform as a mid manager.
Right. So I'll not talk about the technical. I mean, technical skills. I mean, would be as per the work they are doing. But for mid manager, the behavioral skills, something we discussed. Sudhanshu, the first thing is solution orientation. You need to be part of the solution. You need to have that positive orientation. If you want to succeed, you need to be part of the solution. Then that is how people will look up to you. That is how you will also grow, right? The next thing is again. Uh, you need to understand from operational work you are moving. You need to know you are the tactical layer, so you should know how to convert strategies into executable plans. That is important, and it is not very easy. That is something you need to learn. You need to have that go-getter approach, right? I mean,
Mhm.
if a challenge comes, management will like people who will say that yes, we'll take up the challenge. I mean, every time you'll not get success, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
you need to have that go-getter approach. We'll give it a try, right? So I will motivate my team to make sure that they are doing their best. You play two roles, right? I mean, since you are the middle layer, when you go to the execution layer or the junior management team, you need to be the organizational champion. What organization needs to get done from them, you need to tell them. So you are organization champion, you assimilate whatever they are saying and all. When you go up to the senior management team, you are now the employee champion. You are now telling the senior management that these are the things which is coming from the ground. Probably we'll have to look at our strategy and retweak that. And this cycle continues. So you should know how to play this game. That tactical mindset of converting strategy into execution is a couple of this is something which is important. uh, I think from the skills perspective, getting the best out of every team member, right? I mean,
Mhm.
that is again something you should learn. Every team members will have their positives and negatives. You should know how to get the best out of each team member. Nobody is bad. Nobody wants to be a non-performer. You should know how you can make people work, what is their competency level, and how you can get the best out of them. So these are things, I think, as a middle manager, these are very important. Saying that subject matter expertise is something you cannot, discount. That is very, very important. You need to know your work well, otherwise people will not respect you, right? So but I think these
Absolutely.
are the things a middle manager needs to work on.
Yeah. No, I am just making notes because there are some key things that you spoke about, and it takes me back to a Barack Obama video that I saw, wherein the interviewer asked him, "What do you think are the necessary skills to make me indispensable for any organization?" Right? And I think his answer was that you need to be the person who gets things done. You know? There are a lot of people who can come with strategy. There are also a lot of people who can come up with excuses saying this cannot be done, or that you need to hire somebody to get it done. But the people who are most indispensable in the organization are people who can get things done. The both from a mindset and from an execution capability. Do you have the mindset to take on the challenges? Do you have the mindset to put things together? As you said, can you take a vision, convert that into tactical, operational capabilities, timelines? So that execution focus is something that is very, very important. So I really appreciate you bringing that point. And the other point that I really liked is about, as being from an organizational champion to a people or an employee champion as you go up, that transition from say first time managers, wherein you need to make sure that you are very good in top down communication. No, you're taking the top down communication coming to you, you're taking that as a layer and making sure that the organizational priorities are taken care of. But as you move up, you need to be more bottom up thinker, communicating from the people how they are reacting on the ground, take all of that and communicating upwards. So those are two very brilliant things done. And again, coming to Simon Sinek's point, wherein you also should have the ability to get stuff done from your team, right? Both in terms of, so that is another aspect of getting things done. Is one part of that is execution. The other part of that is also I would talk about is how do you motivate your team to get things done, right? Uh, Especially with newer younger workforce coming into the workforce, one of the challenges I've seen people say is that younger folks who come, uh, the Gen Z's and the other, they trust people when they see work being getting done. They don't look at people just from the face value or seeing the post of it that you are my manager, that I know. uh, Maybe we grew up in a time where if we had a nameplate in front of you, you are respected. But this is the time where you need to get things done to earn people's respect as well, right? So all these things very, very beautifully captured, Abhik. One thing that so thank you so much for bringing these points out, right? uh, what I would like to also share with people who have joined in is that Antwork as a platform, many of you know we have a platform called a business capability platform. And the idea of building a business capability platform is that people's capabilities, they need to be tied to be to business performance, business goals that organizations have. And we have a platform that helps you do exactly that. And focusing on mid managers, helping organizations think about mid manager capability building in a very holistic way is something that we have done. I'll just, with your permission, Avik, if I can share a few things that we do here at
For
Antwork,
sure, for sure.
right? Uh, so I will just share my screen. Uh, So when we look at the entire managerial journey, we look at right from an aspiring manager, from a person who has never been a manager, or somebody who has just become a manager, first time manager roles, to somebody who has possibly spent some time as an experienced manager into the role. also moving into this, the mid manager role or the manager of managers role that we have, all the way to senior manager. We also do CXO coaching, and we take a very holistic view at looking at capabilities. Say for example, if you are a first time manager or you're aspiring to become a manager, this navigating from this navigating managerial transition, wherein you how do you make that mindset shift, that it is, I have, from an executioner I have to become a facilitator of execution. That is very important. The art of delegation, how do you delegate work that comes to you, problem solving and critical thinking. There are a lot of things that, and we break this down into functional, behavioral and operational skills. uh, and we have right from hypo identification as one offering to enhancing the productivity of your current managers. We have those facilities, no, interventions designed specifically for them. Similarly, say for example, you have already become, no, you have been as a manager for some time. How do know how does your, do you bring in some visionary perspective, do you bring some innovative mindset? No, so this first thing we help organizations do think about completely is this role definition of managers as well, right? It is not always that of course hypo identification is one part of it, both in terms of their performance and potential. So we have a very comprehensive uh, assessment that we do as well. So we have this entire academy which is dedicated uh, to building leadership pipeline internally. um, uh, what I feel, and I would like to also have your input around this, Abhik, is you said that you focus at Equitas on building pipeline internally, right? And this for me is so very very important. First of all, is gone are are the days where you can buy talent. By buying talent, I'm saying that you know you just cannot throw money at a people problem anymore. No, uh, how difficult hiring is getting increasingly, right? That is one part. The other part of that also is, what I would say, is the culture. If you have people who are more homegrown mid managers who have been through the ranks, get into this mid manager roles, do they bring a more cultural cohesion of keeping the team together? Have you have what has been your observation in this field?
Right. No, Sudhanshu, this goes without saying. Growing, that is a philosophy we always believed in, growing leaders from within. Because you
Mhm.
can, as you said, you can buy talent from outside. One, it is difficult. You can get a superstar from the market, from a competitor and all. That person comes in, he probably may not be a great culture fit. And
Yes.
he will not relate to what you are doing. Wherein somebody you are growing from within, he knows your system, he knows how things work, what is the culture, right? So it is always safer and better to grow your leaders from within, and that is something we invest on, we believe in, right? So it is always better. So the courses you are showing is very very relevant, wherein people can be trained.
Yeah.
They need to know. They may not be perfect, but they need to be. We, as the management team, as the HR team, should know what are the areas they need to be worked on, so that they become that perfect manager. And it is always, always safer. If an organization needs to grow, they need to grow people from within, because if you grow one leader from within, it would be a motivation for a huge
Yeah.
cohort who would also look forward and say that this organization believes in growing us. Today this person has got it, tomorrow we will also have our opportunity. So that's the base of any talent management program.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. And the other part you spoke about, on the job training also, and as we in the next 5 to 10 minutes, as we conclude this program conversation, which has been really really very heartening, I would like to also understand how uh, the coaching is a concept, mentoring and coaching, especially as you step into the leadership. When we talk to multiple organizations, a lot of organizations come to us saying that coaching, especially for the first time managers not as much, but as you start your leadership journey going on, a lot of organizations are warming up to coaching, group coaching, individual coaching. So coaching as a lever to leadership development, what has your experience been in this?
Okay, so Anshu, I happen to be a certified coach. So coaching
Hmm.
is again something I think it is very, very powerful because not for the mid manager, but at senior management level, that transition from mid to senior, uh, people know what needs to be done. They know how to handle team. They know how to handle business. These are some finer points they need to just work on. Coach helps you there. They show you the
Yeah.
mirror. They tell you what changes they need to do in their behavior to become even better. Coaching
Hmm.
helps making a successful person, a successful CEO minus one, even better. And it is powerful because at times when you are doing things in a certain way, you will not be able to realize what is going wrong, right? Your team
Hmm.
members who are looking at you, they are used to you like that. But a good coach can, I mean, make sure between you and your team members, speaking to them, understanding the thing, and help you realize what are the things you need to work on. And if you feel that, I mean, coaching again, the most important thing is the coachee should, uh, I mean, they should accept that they need to change to be better. If they are ready, and if somebody handles and tells them what needs to be done and how need to be done, and reiterate it again and again and again, then uh, it will create a good leader, and they it will for sure add value to them.
Yeah, I was reading a book by Bill Campbell, $1 trillion coach, and he was talking about how coaching played a very important role in shaping up big startups like Apple, Google, and that is where he was talking about Google, where he said one of his key criteria for hiring a leader was, is you are you coachable? And he
Coachable.
would
Right.
ask people that question, uh, are you coachable? And a lot of people give very smart answers, and he shares an anecdote as well. Somebody asked him, depends on who's coaching me.
Right.
And like, that is not the right answer. You need to be open to coaching, because every person has a cognitive limitation. Nobody is,
Perfect.
uh, who knows everything. There is always
Right.
scope for us to know more, learn more, even as leaders. I'm very sure, even when you go into 70s and 80s, you will always find, as we go into 17 and 80s, we will realize there is still a lot more to learn than
Right.
what we have done already. So I understand, that, and that is where coaching is something that we focus in as well. A lot of CXO coaching, CXO minus one coaching with multiple organization in BFSI. We have had the pleasure of working with them, and as we go along, of course, we'll have the pleasure of you know working more with them. Uh,
Right.
as we conclude this conversation, I would like to encompass some of the, bring it to a conclusion, some of the things that you have said. But before that, anything, any pointers, any suggestions that you have to people, you know your suggestion to people getting into mid manager roles, and then we can possibly bring our ideas together, synthesize them.
Okay, so people getting into mid manager role, I mean, they need to be passionate.
Mhm.
They need to have the passion of doing more, and they should do the hard yard. I mean, we might talk a lot about work-life balance and all. Now, all these things are there, but you need to work hard. I mean, there will be 15 people. If you need to stand apart, you need to give that more. Obviously, you should not compromise with your, I mean, personal time, family time, and all. But then you need to do that bit more. You should be ready. You need to accept your team before they accept you, and you should know how to get the best out of them. You need to know that. And my one remark for any organization in BFSI or other industry would be your mid managers are your growth catalyst, right? Invest in them, and you
Yeah,
will get multiple results when they deliver. I mean, what you are investing, you will get uh, much larger returns. So we should be open for that.
absolutely, absolutely. I'll just synthesize the conversation that we have had today. We started by talking about the strategic importance of mid managers. They are the bridge between the strategy and execution. They serve as a very critical link between the top leadership vision and the ground execution. So they are, and we spoke again and again about them being the catalyst of change. If you want to bring transformation, if you want people to adopt newer strategies, mid managers are a very good leverage to employ. You spoke multiple times, Abhik, about impact, building leaders internally, because in managers, mid managers specifically, have a huge impact on culture. You look at an organization from your manager's perspective. Your organization might be wonderful, but if your manager doesn't give you that experience, you might just feel that this organization is not worth it. So they set the tone for their teams and culture. They influence employee engagement. That is the first part that we spoke about. The second part that we spoke about was unlocking leadership potential, where you spoke about the importance of training, leadership development, the different capabilities that we require for mid managers to develop. And not just that, it is, it is like beti, I heard it somewhere, wherein the importance of women education. It is like, if you teach one person to if you educate one person, that person gets educated. But if you educate a daughter, then a family gets educated. It's very similar like that with mid managers, because if you invest in your mid managers, you are in creating leverage where they help you shape the talent development forward, right? They can help you take care of your frontline teams. So there is a huge leverage that you can create there. uh, we also spoke about communication, we spoke about accountability. Abhik, it has been wonderful discussing this very important topic with you. And at Antwork, the idea is, Antwork, as the name suggests, uh, it is inspired by the walk of ants. It is, when ants walk, they share information, and you have now shared your information of the walk of the professional life that you have had. So thank you so much. Thank you so much for sharing all your thoughts. I wish you all the best and your organization in what all you do. I'm very sure there is a road to be traveled, a long way to be traveled from here as well, for both you and me. So thank you so much for participating in this conversation today.
Thank you so much for the opportunity, Sudhanshu. It was a pleasure interacting with you. I'm glad that you invited me for this. I mean, I think this is my way of giving back to the profession which has given me everything. So, thank you so much for the opportunity.
Yes, and yes, this is our way, and to give it back as we learn. And for Antwork, it is our way also to give back by bringing these wonderful, impactful industry voices on these conversations. So till next week, when we bring another voice to discuss something very, very important again. So stay tuned, and for all those who have joined, thank you so much. Have a great weekend. And in India, festivities are around the corner, so I wish all of you a, great festival season. So with that, I'm signing off. And a big thank you once again for being part of this discussion.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Sudhanshu.
Thank you.